All right, you are live. And what are we talking about? Let's get into Palantir. Palantir is an interesting company. Recently, they had a downturn. The stock was down for a long time, and recently, very recently, the stock just went up. And some interesting things are coming out of it. The CEO had a interesting New York Times piece written on him. The CEO, Alex Karp, he came out with a book. I think it's called Technology Republic. We will also look into that. It would be interesting to see just like key takeaways from the book. Actually, let me write that down so we remember. Okay. Alex Karp book. And now there are some interesting things. Like yesterday, I saw Palantir for hospitals. That was interesting. So now they are just I think they had a lot of time in stealth mode, playing with governments, working with governments, where nobody knew what they were exactly doing, and now they are more public. Palantir technology, I think that's what it's called, or technologies, whatever. I assume you're asking about technologies. Yes, the company is an American software company specializing in big data. Also, the name Palantir, name Palantir. most of most of the people in tech, they are inspired by sci-fi movies and the characters and items in those sci-fi movies and the name based on them. So Palantir should have a very similar story. It's an American software company specializing in big data and analytics and AI-driven solutions, founded in 2003 by Peter Thiel, Alex Karp, Joe Lonsdale, Stephen Cohen, and others. It's headquartered in Denver, Colorado. The company builds platforms that help organizations integrate, analyze, and act on massive data sets, often in complex, high-stakes environment. Palantir's main products include Palantir Gotham. Originally designed for government and defense, it's used by intelligence agencies, militaries, and law enforcement to uncover patterns in data like tracking terrorists or managing national security threats. Think of it as a tool for connecting dots in a chaotic data sets. Palantir Foundry, aimed at commercial clients, it's a data integration and analysis platform. Companies like Airbus, Morgan Stanley, and Merck use it to. I once interviewed for Merck. Merck use it to streamline operations, optimize supply chains, or make data-driven decisions. It's less about spying and more about making businesses smarter. Palantir Apollo, a behind the scenes system that ensures Palantir software can deploy and update seamlessly across different environments, cloud, on premise, or even air gapped systems for sensitive government work. Interesting. Update seamlessly across different environments. Okay. Palantir AIP, artificial intelligence platform, the newest offering, it integrates AI and large language models to turn raw data into actionable insights or automate processes. It's not just a chatbot, it's about embedding AI into real world operations. This is very cool. This is very similar to the data science. So I took a course in data science. There was a time when I was just like, okay, let me just, even though I'm studying nanotechnology, I think this machine learning data science thing is growing. So let me just take a bunch of courses, learn about this, and try to find a job based on that. And I started participating in a bunch of hackathons back in university. And that was interesting because yeah, this is exactly what you can do. Like they said that data science is not really, yeah, all the usage of Python, all the computer science is cool, but what it really is about is telling a story based on a lot of chaotic data. You have all this chaos, all this chaotic data. What is a story that you can tell based on all of them, which obviously should come from a pattern or trend that matches it and that can verify. And it's not a, what do we say, it's not a causation, it's I don't know, it's not by fluke, it's actually happening. And figure out trends and patterns and figure out stories that you can tell to businesses based on which they can make actionable data decisions and actually make improve their business. So that was very interesting because now AI can pretty much do that. You just feed it all your data sets and then start asking that, okay, what pattern do you see, what pattern do you see, what are the major patterns you see between 2017 to whatever 20 to now up in 2025. Really cool. The newest offering integrates AI and large language models to turn raw data into actionable insights or automated processes. It's not just a chatbot, it's about embedding AI into real world operations. Palantir started with backing from InQtel, the CIA's venture arm. Hmm, InQtel. Very interesting. We can look into InQtel sometime. And Peter Thiel's Founders Fund, focusing on intelligence augmentation using human analysts alongside tech, not just pure AI. The rate serves both government, US Department of Defense, NHS, and private sectors, with 55% of its 2023 revenue from government clients. It went public in 2020 via a direct listing on the NYSE under the ticker PLTR. The tech itself isn't flashy, it's not consumer facing like Google or Apple. Instead, it's a heavy duty tool for wrangling messy, sprawling data into something useful. Critics say it's overhyped or too consultancy like, given the engineering manpower needed to tailor it. Fans argue it's years behind in enterprise AI, solving problems others don't even see, like making government bureaucracies or corporations actually function efficiently. That's very interesting. One critic could also be that, are they really trying to make bureaucracy efficient if they are a business working in the government and their goal is just to keep increasing the revenue? They aren't really helping. They might be helping in making government efficient, but they still don't want to make sure they reduce government spending. They will keep increasing government spending because that's how they keep earning their revenue. But I don't know. I don't know. Just making guesses. Ontology, digital twin. What is this? Palantir valuation makes zero sense. But then why do institutions keep buying it? What do they know? Okay, interesting. What do they know that you don't? I work in big data and analytics, and let me share the secrets of Palantir in the most basic way. Palantir has monopoly on automated governance, serving as the ultimate operating system for data and global decision making. The world is starting to see the massive benefits of AI agents developed on the Palantir platform, which boost efficiency, drive higher earnings, and outpace the competition. Over time, Palantir will reign supreme among AI agents, with all other AI entities eventually integrating into the powerful Palantir ecosystem. This is just the beginning. Think of Microsoft Windows. Before Windows, people relied on MS DOS, which is another OS, and before that, it was CPM, which were really bad operating systems. The tools didn't talk to each other. You couldn't multitask. You couldn't perform technical analysis while at the same time executing the trades. You couldn't stream your games on YouTube while playing it. It was limited and fragmented into separate sessions and executable files. You limited, much less efficient. It's exactly the same for all governments and corporations, and right now they have grown so big beyond scalability. Tons of data are being generated by too many programs. It's also interesting, like Elon Musk recently talked about the if a government employee needs to resign, they have to go through this entire process, which takes months to finish and months to execute. This means that only 10,000 government employees can actually be can only resign in a particular month, something like that. So much of government data is still not online. So what is Palantir doing in just first of all bringing that data online? Just because the data is stored even today in files, that is the biggest inefficiency created in the ecosystem. Very interesting. Okay. They've grown so big beyond scalability. Tons of data are being generated by too many programs, locations, and departments. Each source of data have different expertise of people with totally separated ownerships and power over the data. Business department versus manufacturing department, just like it was inefficient or impossible for MS-DOS to transfer data from one application to another in real time. It is inefficient to transfer the data from one department to another for a simple decision making. It takes so much time, resources, and too many meetings. It could take days, if not weeks, to get it done. Why? Because of the ownership and qualifications over the data. If you don't work in the business department, then you don't qualify to play with that data. If you don't work in the manufacturing department, you can own the data. So in order to unify the two data sources, you are connecting to different groups. That's only one small example. Think of your responsibilities in your own household. One partner is probably more accurate on handling the grocery list and school events, while the other is more reliable in fixing cars and backyards. As a third person, perhaps an accountant, you would be liaison on each of them to provide the receipts for their own spendings. This is where Palantir's ontology kicks in. Voila. It unifies. Yeah, this is cool. Like how French people just keep saying voila everywhere after every sentence. We are pretty much using the same way. Voila. It unifies every single data source and specialities within the company. Think of Palantir's ontology as a digital map for a company's data. It organizes all the information in a way that makes sense, connecting different pieces of data to each other and to real world things like products, equipment, or customer orders. Imagine you have a messy room with all your stuff scattered around. The ontologies like a system that helps you organize everything neatly so you can find what you need quickly and easily. It's a way to make sense of a lot of data and use it effectively. Palantir solves scalability and reduces big corporations and governments down to its core principles. To make a good decision with Palantir, it is much easier to grow digitally. There were 5 exabytes of information created between the dawn of civilization through 2003, but that much information is now created every 2 days. Wow, Eric Schmidt. Information is the oil of the 21st century, and analytics is the combustion engine. Information is the oil of the 21st century, and analytics is the combustion engine. Without big data, you are blind and deaf and in the middle of a freeway. Jeffrey Moore, without big data, you are blind and deaf and in the middle of a freeway. This is really cool. If you want to market anything, you can pretty much say anything. Without Heinz ketchup, you are blind and deaf and in the middle of a freeway. Companies don't like to be blind and deaf in the middle of a freeway, not to be underperforming, to be punished by the stock market. Eventually, all the data we generate will be more complex and too much for humans to digest them all. We will eventually need an AI to do that job for us, but more importantly, we need a stable platform for AI agents to stand on. You can't throw an AI agent in the water and expect to swim. AIs need ontology. Bro, do you work at Palantir? Tech investor, 18 years of big data semi-tech, empowering you with smart blue and pink candles. Okay, so he pretty much put a lot of money into Palantir. Okay. Think of AI agents as culinary chefs. The Palantir AI chef will have all the ingredients and tools in one common place to make magic happen, enabling on the fly decision making without the hindrances of bureaucracy or data ownership issues. The Unity is the game changer. Palantir is a super integration company. And that is vastly more superior and transformative than the hype of AI. You can hire the best chef in the world, but without fresh ingredients and tools, he will never be effective. So that's why it's not just about AI agents, it's more about what's available to them. A unified kitchen full of many ingredients. Okay. This was a while back. Okay. Tell me all the major milestones in the history of Palantir since its inception. Founded in 2003, has had a fascinating journey marked by significant milestones that reflect its growth, technological innovation, and evolving role in both government and commercial sectors. Below is a comprehensive rundown of the major milestones in Palantir's history since its inception. 2003. Wow, 2003. Officially incorporated by Peter Thiel, Alex Karp, Joe Lonsdale, and Stephen Cohen, and Nathan Gettings. Thiel, co-founder of PayPal, envisioned the company that could leverage software akin to PayPal's fraud detection systems to combat terrorism while preserving civil liberties. The name Palantir comes from the Seeing Stones. The Seeing Stones in J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. Significance. This marked the birth of a mission-driven company focused on data analytics, initially targeting intelligence and defense applications. This is also very interesting. This is one of the reasons why it's maybe important to watch sci-fi movies, read sci-fi books, because they really help you imagine something different from what you have today. This marked the birth of a mission-driven company focused on data analytics, initially targeting intelligence and defense applications. 2004, early funding and prototype development. 2004. Peter Thiel provided $30 million through his venture capital firm Founders Fund and the CIA's venture arm In-Q-Tel invested $2 million. A prototype was developed by Nathan Gettings, Joe Lonsdale, and Stephen Cohen, with Alex Karp joining as CEO. These early investments and leadership solidified Palantir's ties to the US intelligence community, setting the stage for its initial focus on government clients. Also, an interesting story pops up to my mind, which is I think I was watching this was I think on Joe Lonsdale podcast where he was talking about when they decided to have Alex Karp on board, where he was like, we were these little kids, we were really smart, and we know we had something of value, and we would go to CIA, we could go to these meetings with all the government CIA like high like very executive like people, and they just wouldn't understand us, they just wouldn't listen to us, and that thing didn't work. Value first didn't work. We also had to, what did he say? I forgot the word he used, but it's not about the value, it's also about everything around it. It's not just about the value, it's also about everything around it. So he was like, okay, so then we would wear suits, and then we would go through them, and then we would talk in a certain way, and then we would use connections. And when we got Alex, and I think he said the reason we got Alex Karp is that he could be the person who could actually sell these these products to the right people in the right way. And it was very interesting. Like, I actually, okay, let me see. Joe launched it. Actually, I think I have this quote. I have this quote. I think it's a pretty good quote. So let's find it. All right, I think it should be here. Yes. A lot of young people underestimate how substance is important, but you cannot lead with substance because it is not taken seriously. So you have to have the substance to win, but you also have to have the trappings of why to take it seriously. A lot of young people underestimate how substance is important, but you cannot lead with substance because it is not taken seriously. So you have to have the substance to win, but you also have to have the trappings of why to take it seriously. It's crazy how some of these people can just talk in quotes. I think Joe Lonsdale just said this in a normal conversation, and it's crazy how that's pretty much like a, yeah, that's a good quote. That's a good quote. Let me read that again. A lot of young people underestimate how substance is important, but you cannot lead with substance because it is not taken seriously. So you have to have the substance to win, but you also have to have the trappings of why to take it seriously. So interesting. So interesting. Okay. All right. So Palantir comes from Lord of the Rings. Are we here? Peter Thiel provided 30 million through his venture capital firm Founders Fund, and the CI's venture arm In-Q-Tel invested $2 million. A prototype was developed by Nathan Gettings, Joe Lonsdale, and Stephen Cohen, with Alex Karp joining as CEO. These early investments and leadership solidified Palantir's ties to the US intelligence community, setting the stage for its initial focus on government clients. Launch of Gotham. Palantir launched its flagship product, Gotham, a platform designed for intelligence and defense agencies to analyze massive data sets and uncover hidden patterns. Think counterterrorism and national security. Gotham became the cornerstone of Palantir's early success, establishing its reputation as a go-to tool for the US intelligence community and Department of Defense. Uncovering cyber espionage networks. Palantir software used by the Information Warfare Monitor helped uncover GhostNet, a China-based cyber espionage network targeting 1295 computers across 103 countries, and Shadow Network, another espionage operation. Clients included high-profile targets like the Dalai Lama's office and NATO. Oh no. Oh no. Okay, I got a call from my buddy, but I will call you soon. Okay. Palantir software used by Information Warfare Monitor helped uncover GhostNet 2009, a China-based cyber espionage network targeting 1295 computers across 103 countries, and Shadow Network, another espionage operation. Clients included high-profile targets like the Dalai Lama's office and NATO. These successes showcase Palantir's capability in cybersecurity and intelligence, boosting its credibility. 2010, first major private sector client and fraud detection milestone. They landed its first significant private sector client after 7 years of government exclusivity. Additionally, the Recovery, Accountability, and Transparency Board used Palantir to detect fraud in the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, earning praise from Vice President Joe Biden. Oh, Vice President Joe Biden, okay. This marked Palantir's pivot toward commercial applications and demonstrated its broader utility beyond defense. WikiLeaks controversy. 2011 leaked emails revealed Palantir had collaborated with H.B. Gary and Berico Technologies on a proposal to Bank of America to counter WikiLeaks. CEO Alex Karp severed ties with H.B. Gary and issued a public apology, reaffirming Palantir's commitment to privacy and free speech. The incident highlighted ethical challenges and sparked debates about Palantir's role in surveillance, shaping its public image. Expansion of government clientele. A leaked document showed Palantir serving at least 12 US government agencies, including CIA, NSA, FBI, DHS, CDC, and Marine Corps, among others. This underscored Palantir's deep entrenchment in the US government, cementing its status as a key defense contractor. Valuation soars to 9 billion. Forbes reported Palantir's valuation reached 9 billion, fueled by diverse sectors like InQtel Founders Fund and Tiger Global Management. Plans emerged to raise an additional 400 million. The valuation positioned Palantir as one of Silicon Valley's most valuable private tech firms, reflecting investor confidence. ICE contract and privacy backlash. Palantir began providing software to US Immigration and Customs Enforcement for deportation operations, drawing criticism from advocacy groups like Amnesty International for potential human rights violations. This contract expanded Palantir's government footprint but intensified ethical scrutiny over its surveillance work. Launch of Palantir Foundry and global expansion. Palantir introduced Foundry, a commercial platform for data integration analysis used by clients like Morgan Stanley, Airbus, and Merck. The Danish Polintel project also adopted Gotham for predictive policing. Foundry marked a major push into the private sector while global adoption signaled Palantir's international growth. Public listing versus direct listing. September 30. Palantir went public on the NYSE through a direct listing, valuing the company at 20.6 billion. It reported 743 million revenue for 2019 but a net loss of 580 million. The IPO was a landmark moment, providing capital for expansion and shifting Palantir from a secretive startup to a public entity. First profitable year in Ukraine support. Palantir achieved its first full year of operating profit. It also supported Ukraine post-Russia invasion, with CEO Alex Karp visiting President Zelensky. Its AI-enhanced artillery strikes and documented alleged war crimes. Palantir achieved its first full year of operating profit. It also supported Ukraine post-Russian invasion. It also supported Ukraine post-Russian invasion, with CEO Alex Karp visiting President Zelensky. Its AI-enhanced artillery strikes and documented alleged war crimes. Profitability validated Palantir's business model, while its Ukraine role highlighted its geopolitical impact. NHS contract and AIP launch. Palantir won a 330 million contract to manage NHS England's healthcare data, sparking protests over privacy concerns. It also launched the AI platform, artificial intelligence platform, integrating AI into its offerings. Significance. The NHS deal expanded Palantir's healthcare presence, while AIP positioned it as an AI leader. S&P 500 inclusion and bootcamp strategy. Palantir joined the S&P 500 driven by consistent profitability and AI growth. It conducted over 1,300 AIP bootcamps, generating 634 million in Q1 revenue, a 21% increase, and a record 106 million profit. S&P 500 inclusion affirmed Palantir's financial maturity, and the bootcamp strategy revolutionized its sales approach. Ongoing themes. Palantir's revenue grew at a 30% CAGR from 2018 to 2023, with 55% year-over-year US commercial growth. Ethical debates persist, from ICE contracts to NHS deals and Israel Defense Forces support, reflecting Palantir's complex public image. AIP and Foundry's AI capabilities position Palantir as a frontrunner in enterprise AI with a market cap exceeding 60 billion by mid 2024. Actually, I think this one was a good. This is a good
Probably
one.
one of the most highly anticipated offerings or listings in a very long time. Almost every year that we would talk in Davos, I would invariably ask you, are you going to go public? Are you going to list? And invariably you wouldn't. So let's start with why now?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me, and I really would like to thank all the Palantirians who stuck with us and built this company, and our investors who stuck with us. And over the years, we've been skeptical about listing, and for lots of reasons. We really needed to build our products with enough protection so that we would be ready to launch them into the public space. And we built out PG, which is our government product, and our Foundry product, and built a way to maintain them so that we wouldn't have to scale the number of people. And we've reached a base where our company is very significant, and we believe being in the public space will help us with our clients and help us grow. And quite frankly, I believe the people at Palantir who built this company over 17 years deserved access to liquidity. So we decided this would be a great time for us, and so far it's been a really interesting process, and our clients are embracing it. So it's a really good time for us, and I'm very, very grateful.
Alex, the single biggest question that investors ask about this company is 17 years in, well, they have an operating profit. The company unto itself is still not profitable. So walk us through what the path to profitability looks like.
Well, we build these products years before people build them, and that takes money. And what you see in the COVID pandemic crisis is we built this way of going to market with Foundry, which would allow us to literally supply an enterprise with a completely new stack of products within 6 hours and maintain them. And what you saw when we did that is we grew the company 49% off of a 743 base. And the divergence between expenses and growth is dramatic. And we're just going to be very, very focused on invigorating our software offering. But when you're growing 49% off of a 740 base, I think that's a pretty strong indication of what the future can hold. And we're super proud of that. And I think you're seeing that people are taking a look at our financials. Our company has often been viewed as complex and needing explanation, both moral and financial. But it turns out our financials are quite simple. And you look at this dramatic growth with flatlining expenses, and I think that gives investors comfort. And it certainly makes me feel as co-founder and CEO that we made the right decision to invest heavily well over a decade in building software the way other people don't build it, and we see the results.
Do you think, though, profitability is a 2022 proposition, a 2023 proposition? Can I push on that?
Well, you can push me, but of course, my lawyers will shoot me. What I can tell you is we are very, very focused on building software a long time before other people building and supplying it. And I think that our first half of the year growth will be reflective of the future. And if I'm right, that will answer all of your interesting questions. And we'll be interviewing me again at maybe not at Davos, but virtually, and we'll see how we do. I'm really confident we'll do well.
Well, Alex, one of the questions people ask is how to comp your company. What is comparable? Should this be considered a technology company, a SaaS company, or should this be considered a much more traditional consulting company? Can you speak to that?
Well, I think what the investors are seeing is they're asking the question at this point. They ask, is this a company that builds software for the government, and how do they build it? Of course, we always sold this as a license. Then they saw our margins the first half of the year about 80%. So I think the real thing now is move significantly away from is this software as a service, because although people think we're very smart, we're not smart enough to get 80% margins off of a services company. The question then is how do you comp it? And honestly, I think that's something investors will have to figure out. We're not focused on that. We're focused on we are going to be the most important software company in the world, and people will figure out this value over a long period of time. And we're very comfortable with investors pointing around. It could be like this, it could be like that. We are going to deliver the world's best software with the world's most efficient way of delivering it. Investors will decide what's that is worth to them. And I think you'll find in a number of years that there'll be a consensus Palantir is a truly special software company that is arguably the most important software company in the world.
Sherman's been here. Thanks for watching CNBC.
That was pretty cool. He's being asked that. How do you expect? How do you see yourself? How do you value yourself? How do you categorize yourself? Do you categorize yourself as a technology company, as a consulting company, as a services company? And he's like, oh, that's up to the investors. We are focused on delivering value. We focus on delivering value, and all that stuff, that's up to the investors. They will just look at the value we are creating. Very cool. All right. Also, let's search Palantir technology. Let's go to their website. But before we do that, let's see. Tell me. Can we do a deep search on Alex Karp and his quotes? Let's see. Deep search is gonna take 2 minutes, and during that time we can come over here. Okay. AI-powered automation for every decision. They're everywhere. Palantir is just a big data company, and they're everywhere. Wow, this is cool. The manufacturing OS for American reindustrialization warp speed. DevCon Discover how builders are moving from prototype to production. DevCon. That's crypto. How are customers how our customers achieve plan with AIP? Focus on alpha, not infra. Okay. AI is transforming the battlefield, Maven Smart System. The future of drone navigation, drone nav. Infrastructure for Big Tent, software integration, Apollo, Rubix, ontology. The defense reformation, resurrecting the American industrial. Written by Shyam, Palantir CTO. This entire website, it's very much built like in military. Yeah, this flag looks like something that you would see on a tank. These fonts look like something you would see on a what do you call it, speedometer or dashboard of an aircraft. Yeah, they're pretty much using all the design principles from there. Yeah, look at this. Okay. As a nation, we are in an undeclared state of emergency. Around 2014, Russia named annexed Crimea. China militarized the partly islands in the South China Sea, and Iran was allowed to pursue the bomb. A decade later, we have had more than 300 attacks on U.S. bases by Iran, 1,200 people slaughtered in a pogrom in Israel, an estimated 1 million casualties in brutal combat in Ukraine, and an unprecedented tempo of CCP Phase 0 operations in the Taiwan Straits. This is a hot Cold War too. The West has empirically lost deterrence. We must respond to this emergency to regain it. We have a peer adversary, China. Near peer is a shibboleth. A euphemism to avoid the embarrassment of acknowledging we have peers when we were once peerless. In World War II, America was the best in mass production. Today, that distinction belongs to our adversary. America's national security requires a robust industrial base, or it will lose the next war and plunge the world into darkness under authoritarian regimes. In the current environment, American industries can produce a minimum line of ships, subs, munitions, aircraft, and more. It takes a decade or two to deliver new major weapon systems at scale. If we are in a hot war, we would only have days worth of ammunition and weapons on hand. Even more alarming is our lack of capacity and capability to rapidly repair and regenerate our weapon systems. Given the vast sums we have spent on defense in the decades of Pax Americana, it would be reasonable to wonder what went wrong. Defense Forum. The Last Supper and Great Schism. In 1993, after the end of Cold War, America wanted a peace dividend in defense. Spending was slashed by 67%. The Secretary of Defense held a dinner at the Pentagon, the so-called Last Supper, to tell the 51 primes they would not all survive. Today, there are 5. Corporate consolidation in the defense sector. Oh, these are all the acquisitions. Lockheed Martin, Boeing, RTX, Northrop Grumman, General Dynamics. So Northrop Grumman got the most of them. Avondale, TASC, PRC, GI Defense, Litton Industries, Varian, Sperry Marine, Grumman, Northrop. Wow. What was the most recent one? TRW. Whoa. Okay. Wow. The most important consequence of the Last Supper wasn't reduction in competition in the defense industrial base, but the decoupling of commercial innovation from defense and the rise of the government monopsony. Wow. I kind of love how these guys, yeah, this is just like, you get to learn so much over here with Palantir, Joe Lonsdale, everything. Consolidation with Peter Thiel, yeah. Consolidation bred conformity and pushed out the crazy founders and innovative engineers. This was the great schism of the... What is great schism? of the American industrial base. Before the fall of the Berlin Wall, only 6% of defense spending went to defense specialist so-called traditionals. The vast majority of the spend went to companies that had both defense and commercial businesses. Chrysler made cars and missiles. Ford made satellites until 1990. General Mills, a cereal company, made artillery and inertial guidance systems. Very interesting. The Great Schism can refer to two significant historical events in Christianity. East-West Schism. This is the most commonly referenced Great Schism, which occurred in 1054, resulting in the division of Christianity into two main branches, the Roman Catholic Church and the Eastern Orthodox Church. The primary causes include disputes over papal authority, the Filioque clause in the Nicene Creed, liturgical practices, and jurisdictional claims. Western Schism. This refers to a period of division within the Roman Catholic Church itself, where there were rival popes in Avignon and Rome. The schism lasted from 1378 to 1417 and was resolved at the Council of Constance. In general, schism is a break in the unity of a church or organization, often due to disagreements over doctrine, authority, or practices. Interesting. Major weapon systems acquisition budget, share by industrial base category, defense specialist, aerospace, commercial companies. Fall of the Berlin Wall, collapse of the USSR. So defense specialists got a lot. Commercial companies reduced, serving defense and many other markets. Okay. The industrial base that won World War II and the Cold War. The industrial base we have today. Interesting. But today that 6% has ballooned to 86%. The monopsony's fixation on cost plus contracting control and tedious regulation has made working in the national interest bad business, suitable only to risk-averse investors who are addicted to dividends and buybacks, a luxury only affordable at the end of history. This is not what the most dynamic parts of the American economy do, only the dying parts. Working with the monopsony as a defense contractor is so unappealing that Ball would rather make beer cans than satellite buses. That is depressing. The S&P 500 last added a defense company 46 years ago until Palantir's addition in September 24 that resembles Europe's sclerotic capital markets, not America's. L3 Harris, Huntington Industries. Yeah, look at this logo. General Dynamics, Lockheed Martin. They're also comparing the number of employees. Wow. 1886 Huntington. Wow. But Palantir's addition will not be the last, because today the founders are back in the hundreds, and they are backed by hundreds of billions of dollars of private capital to build in the national interest. However, their effort and capital alone is not enough to resurrect the American industrial base. We are a defense reformation to upend the monopsony and transform the way the government does business. What is monopsony? Break the Department of Defense's acquisition monopsony. For a long time, Walmart was a monopsony. The inverse of a monopoly, a monopsony results when one entity is the sole buyer of a given product or service. Walmart developed a notorious reputation of using its monopsonistic power to force its vendors to meet its terms, which in turn allowed it to set extremely low consumer prices. But in a monopsony, the lower price isn't the best price for the market because it hides the true cost, drives down quality, and decreases competition. Amazon's arrival exposed Walmart as completely unprepared to compete on innovation. Today, there is a bigger monopsony. So monopsony means when there is only one buyer. Okay. So buyer can set the terms for all the suppliers, producers, yeah. Today there is a bigger monopsony that has evaded scrutiny but is even more deserving of disruption, the Department of Defense. It's actually very interesting because Palantir is most closely working with the Department of Defense. So seeing something like this is interesting. First breakfast. Do they all work at Palantir? Okay, guest posed by Marilyn. defense at Palantir, writing about national security technology in a personal and professional capacity, and Greg, senior counselor at Palantir. Okay, got it. Firstbreakfast.com. Monopsonies reduce innovation among suppliers even more than a monopoly does. Diverse suppliers are forced to conform to the whims and peculiarities of the monopsonist. There are many examples of this within the DoD. Suppliers' margins are regulated by the acquisition company's preferred contract vehicle, cost plus, which leaves little room for meaningful research and development. Even non defense capabilities that shouldn't be monopsonistic, payroll HR, manifests that way because of excessive requirements that produce bespoke systems for the DoD. But the most dire consequence is that the monopsonist itself stagnates. Logged in a dynamic of trying to manage cost, schedule, and performance, it loses sight of innovation and becomes vulnerable to disruption. How can the department and the nation avoid the dynamic? We must have a competitive acquisition community to ensure overmatch and eliminate competition with other countries. Innovation is driven by competition. In the absence of competition, there is no incentive to be better. It's very interesting. Like Peter Thiel, Peter Thiel actually talks about competition is for losers, and over here we're talking about how competition is good. Okay, competition. In the absence of competition, there is no incentive to be better, faster, or cheaper. Much has been said about the weakened state of competition among the defense industrial base in the US. This collapse of competition was a function of Department of Defense policy at the Last Supper. But it's been 30 years since the Last Supper, and the reality is that defense tech is increasingly competitive. Companies like Endural, Shield AI, and Epirus, I think these are all Joe Lonsdale companies. Epirus and Epirus is Joe Lonsdale. Shield AI, not sure. Endural is Palmer Luckey. Shield is an American aerospace and defense technology company founded in 2015 by Brandon Seng, Ryan Seng, and Andrew Reiter. Is headquartered in San Diego, California, with additional offices in Dallas, Washington, D.C., Abu Dhabi, Kyiv, and Melbourne. Shield AI specializes in developing AI for aviation, focusing on autonomous AI pilots for various aircraft. Products and technology, Hive Mind. Shield AI's flagship product is an autonomy and AI stack that enables drones and aircraft to operate autonomously without GPS or human pilots. It supports various missions, including reconnaissance and combat operations, VBAT, an AI-powered vertical takeoff and landing aircraft developed through the acquisition of Martin UAV, a software suite for developers to build and deploy autonomy solutions for intelligent machines. Shield AI has raised significant funding. Okay, got it. Let's go back. And others represent the next generation of venture-backed defense champions who have the ambition and aggressiveness to compete at the prime scale. On the military side, friendly but fierce rivalry among the end-user and warfighter community is equally robust. Combatant commands compete to be more innovative than each other, and each service competes to be more relevant than the next. This competition breeds excellence, and excellence is the minimum requirement to deter China. The singular post in this chain that is free of competition is the acquisition community. In general, there is only one program management office for a capability. F-35. What is this? XLUUV. What is XLUUV? Companies compete like gladiators in the arena for the PMs who are themselves largely immune from outside pressures and completely free of competition. What would incentivize a program to deliver faster or cheaper than planned? From experience, nothing. Anything that disrupts the plan is the enemy of monopsonists. Humans only disrupt themselves when they are competing to win. We propose a structure where all programs have at least... This is actually good. Humans only disrupt themselves when they are competing to win. We propose a structure where all programs have at least 2 competing program offices. We propose a structure where all programs have at least two competing offices. This proposal is at worst cost neutral and more likely to be cost saving through market and competition incentives. Current large acquisition programs are typically delayed and experience cost overruns. The two competing program offices would take their requirements, devise their own acquisition strategies, and compete to deliver capability to the warfighter or mission user as quickly as possible. A senior leader from the mission would be the decider of the outcome on the continuous scale. It could be decided 100% of the need would be fulfilled by a single competitor, or it could be 50-50, or anything in between. This is no different from how an airline might decide to be 100% Airbus, 100% Boeing, or some mix of the two that makes sense in context. A decision that is made continuously on each incremental batch of orders. As a powerful knock-on effect, this would radically increase the competition and agile capacity of the industrial base. This proposal is similar to how some of the most complex and successful DoD acquisitions have historically operated. Take ballistic missiles in 1950s and 60s. There was sustained intense. This is very interesting. A highly competent participant of a competition slowly ends up running the competition. Wow. And I've personally seen this in so many areas. If you are a highly competent player of the game, you end up being the game. You end up running the game. You end up deciding the rules of the game. This is exactly what we're seeing over here. Peter Thiel has already been working in defense. All the people in his circle, they have been now working in defense. They are really highly competent, and they realize that people in DoD are the blocker now, and we have a vision, and we actually want to serve the country. We actually want to serve the country. I'm just hypothesizing over here, by the way. We all want to serve the country. We have a vision. We can move fast. We are highly competent. We are skilled. We have built the right products. Now, the people who we are actually presenting our products to, we believe there's a better way that they can run. So now they're slowly moving into. So interesting. Okay. This proposal is similar to how some of the most complex and successful DoD acquisitions have historically operated. The Navy's Polaris and the Air Force's Minuteman ultimately merges clear winners, but not before the regulars Jupiter, Thor, Atlas, and Titan were developed in some form. As the missiles were competed, investments were dynamically allocated towards the most promising programs and away from the least promising. Harvey Sapolsky writes in 1972 in the Polaris system development, centralizing decision-making and eliminating competition would only have decreased the probability of obtaining the best system within any given time period. Centralizing decision-making and eliminating competition would only have decreased the probability of obtaining the best system within any given time period. 50 years ago, Sapolsky predicted our current monopsony's stagnation. We need to break the DoD's acquisition monopsony. Centralizing decision-making and eliminating competition would only have decreased the profitability of obtaining the best system within any given time period. Proposal: there would be a minimum of 2 and a maximum of 5 competing PMs that balance need to compete with the need to make the evaluation reasonable. Wow, what is happening? Whoa. Okay, continue. Warfighters must take on more discretion in what they want. It would be too much to ask them to run the program, but it is not too much to ask them to test drive the final products to decide and evaluate what makes sense. Their lives will depend on it. All programs that are relevant to deterring China must participate in the structure. Programs that aren't relevant are allowed to opt out. The PMs who may not be chosen winners of this competition should not be punished. Instead, they should be rewarded for the learnings and capabilities they have delivered. America's culture is centered around competition. We want to embrace that, but we must always remember that we are on the same team when it comes to beating China. It is PM's contribution to excellence through competition, which means there is not competition with China. interesting. Okay? The departments here say everyone, including the Russians and the Chinese, have given up on the communism except for Cuba and DoD. The only problem is that we are bad commies. We run a centrally unplanned process that neither has the supposed advantages of a planned economy nor the far superior advantages of a free market. Bill Greenwald explains the sins of our poor attempts at copying the communists. This ideology and management approach, now deeply ingrained in defense management culture, process, law, and regulation, is based on the concepts of scientific management that were once fashionable in the Soviet Union and at the vanguard of the 50s US auto industry before it was outcompeted by Japan in the 70s. Centralized predictive program budgeting, management, and oversight were then thought to be superior to the trial and error and messiness of time constrained, decentralized experimentation and the seemingly wastefulness of having multiple sources rapidly prototyping potential solutions. Centralized predictive program budgeting, management, and oversight were then thought to be superior to the trial and error and messiness of the time constrained, decentralized experimentation, and the seemingly wastefulness of having multiple sources rapidly prototyping potential solutions. There's no process that can save us. Reform will be painful. We must be very careful not to conflate pain with the error, as world champion cyclist Greg LeMond. So cool, so cool. Just in this defense blog, they randomly quote world champion cyclist. It doesn't get easier, you just go faster. There's no process that can save us. Reform will be painful. We must be careful not to conflate pain with error. As world champion cyclist Greg LeMond said, it doesn't get easier, you just go faster. This is, this is so cool. This is so cool. Just as there is no pain-free world-class cycling performance, innovation will always be painful, messy, and subject to retrospective, bureaucratic critiques from those not in the arena. There is no process that can save us. Reform will be painful. We must be very careful not to conflate pain with error. As world champion Greg LeMond said, it doesn't get easier, you just go faster. This is cool. There's no process that can save us. Okay, we got a lot of stuff about what does it say exactly? Let's see. There is no process that can save us. Reform will be painful. We must be very careful not to conflate pain with error. As world champion cyclist Greg LeMond said, it doesn't get easier, you just go faster. Just as there is no pain-free world-class cycling performance, innovation will always be painful, messy, and subject to retrospective, bureaucratic critiques from those not in the arena. So cool. So cool. Okay, we're here. Just as there is no pain-free world-class cycling performance, innovation will always be painful, messy, and subject to retrospective bureaucratic critiques from those not in the arena. Our centralized predictive program budgeting, management, and oversight process values time spent, not time saved. Values time spent, not time saved. It values costs and effort, not value and outcome. The Great Schism has created a religion in government that is unaware or dismissive of power law outcomes from power law talent. In Silicon Valley, we call them 10x or 100x engineers, meaning they are 10x to 100x as valuable and productive as normal engineers. We once understood that in defense. This is in defense too. Rick Over. Kelly Johnson, Ed Hall, and countless legendary talents fought the bureaucracy and got stuff done. We seem to generally appreciate that Usain Bolt is more than a generation talent. Even the gold medalist at Paris 2024 was not faster than him. But this is also true for Tom Mueller, Elon Musk, Palmer Luckey, Brian Schimpf, Ryan Singh Shield AI, and the founders at the first breakfast. I don't know who that is. Brian Schimpf, I believe I've heard that name before. Okay, also, you looked into XLUUV. Whoa, what is this? Major, large, extra large, uncrewed. Major, large, extra large, uncrewed underwater vehicles. Boeing Orca. Pretty much looks like a whale. Yeah, this looks like a whale. Naval Group Oceanic Underwater Drone Demonstrator. What is that? That's a fun photo. That's a fun photo. Here's our first look at the US Navy's Orca XLUUV. Dorothy, Director Unmanned Systems, Deputy Assistant Christians, the Orca, during a ceremony in Huntington Beach, California. Provide opportunity to reduce risk and gain valuable knowledge of the operation maintenance and vehicle performance. Perfect. Extra Large Unmanned Undersea Vehicle is an advanced autonomous submarine developed by Boeing for the US Navy. Propulsion system, diesel-electric propulsion systems, which provides a remarkable operational range of up to 6,500 nautical miles. Payload capacity, 34 feet long, can accommodate up to 8 tons of various mission-specific payloads. Autonomy, endurance, long-duration missions with minimal human intervention, capable of operating autonomously over hundreds of miles. Supports diverse missions such as mine countermeasures, anti-submarine warfare, anti-surface warfare, electronic warfare, and strike missions. Testing, deployment, future plans. Expand its unmanned undersea fleet with the Orca, potentially ramping up production in fiscal year 26 based on the performance of the initial prototype. Okay, and Brian. Okay. Endure Industries. Okay. Defense technology company known for its innovative approach. Education. Colin University Bachelor of Science, Operations Research, Industrial Engineering 2007. Worked at Palantir, where he rose to the ranks from a forward deployed engineer to director of engineering. He led projects for various government organizations across intelligence, defense, and law enforcement. Co-founded Endural 2017 with Palmer Luckey, among others. And his leadership Endural, wow, has become a significant player in the defense tech industry, valued at over 10 billion. Secured major contracts including the US Air Force's Collaborative Combat Aircraft program. The company focuses on AI, robotics, and autonomous systems to enhance national security capabilities. Emphasizes the role of AI in modern warfare. Successfully scaled Endural from a small startup to a company with over 4,000 employees. Oh, so Endural is bigger than Palantir, seems like. Tom Mueller. Quick search on Tom Mueller. Palmer Luckey, Ryan Singh, founders of First Breakfast. Reforming the systems means renouncing the communist conformity that's slowing us down and unleashing the charismatic leaders who can drive outcomes in the boardroom and on the battlefield. Tom Mueller. I think I've heard of Tom Mueller. Wait. Okay. I think I know Tom Mueller. He was early Tesla, I think. And then he started his own rocket company, space company. Early SpaceX, maybe. Yeah, I think he was. Okay, I haven't seen it yet. Tom Mueller was early SpaceX, worked with Elon Musk, and then he started his own space rocket company. Let's see. Renowned American aerospace engineer and, yes, propulsion CTO. Perfect. Yes, I think I know him because he's known for his car collection. Tom Mueller is renowned American aerospace engineer, rocket engine designer, best known for his pivotal role as the first employee and former propulsion CTO at SpaceX. Idaho, earned a bachelor's degree from University of Idaho, 85, master's degree from Marymount, 92. TRW, okay. Worked at TRW. We just saw TRW's name. TRW was merged with Northrop Grumman recently for 15 years, where he was involved in the development of large scale rocket engines, including TR 106. He joined SpaceX as the first employee. He led the development of several critical rocket engines, including Merlin, Draco, and Super Draco. So Draco. His work was instrumental in SpaceX's success with the Falcon 1, Falcon 9, Falcon Heavy launch vehicle. Impulse Space, yes. After leaving SpaceX in 2020, he founded Impulse in 2021. The company focuses on developing chemical rocket engines and providing in-space transportation services, including mission to Mars. Rocket engine designs. Mueller is celebrated for his innovative designs and contributions to rocket propulsion technology, holding several patents in this field. His work at SpaceX and now Impulse Space has significantly influenced the modern aerospace industry, particularly in the development of reusable rockets and advanced propulsion systems. Innovation and passion. Emphasizes the importance of pursuing one's passion and maintaining a can-do attitude, often sharing his story to inspire young engineers. Really cool. Okay, we got that. The thesis of the defense reformation. Monopsony is the root of what ails us. Cost plus contracting makes the nation dumber, slow, and poorer. Right way to buy an aircraft carrier, but is the wrong way for 95% of the things. It robs any reward for going faster or developing innovative approaches, institutionalizing a lack of incentive to compete on price by valuing time spent over time saved. SpaceX reduced launch costs by 85%, but that simply isn't possible in a cost-type domain. In fact, NASA estimated the cost of developing the SpaceX rocket at $4 billion when SpaceX did it for $400 million. Cost plus is the reason that defense costs grow faster than inflation and don't result in compounding price performance decreases. In the commercial world, people are viewed as expensive and technology is considered cheap. In government, there is a perversion where people are viewed as abundant and technology is viewed as unaffordable. Technology is considered cheap. In government, there is a perversion where people are viewed as abundant and technology is viewed as unaffordable. Meanwhile, Starship will reduce launch cost 100x over Falcon 9 and 1000x over the progeny of cost plus approaches and timeline that is well inside the development loop of $2 trillion, 30% available F-35. Keeps cost in the stratosphere. Commercial drove cost to the ground. Falcon 9 was 10% of the cost of legacy. Starship Heavy will be 1% of the cost of Falcon 9. No, let's not missing any zeros. At $10 to $20 per kg. In short, commercial innovation made launch cost 1000x cheaper. Wow, really cool. Really cool. A budget is a plan, and no plan survives first contact. Military doctrine states plans are useless, even if planning is invaluable. I support the president's budget is an evasion. No company could survive if it took 2 years to POM budget for projects internally. They would be outcompeted. And that is what our adversaries are doing to us now. We must invest in closing the cash chain to close the kill chain. The fiscal OODA loop to move money around is not survivable. We must be able to reprogram money inside of 2 months, not 2 years. Messy and imperfect discretion is required. We require DevSecOps for budgets. The person is the program, the primacy of people. How military officer careers and promotions are governed must be reformed. There's a reason that Rick Rover was the director of naval reactors for over 30 years and that all great programs had a leader who saw them to completion. Shriver and intercontinental ballistic missiles, Groves and the atomic bomb, Boyd and the F 16, Beer Bor and the Predator. Talent is not fungible. Talent problem fit is rare and hard and determinative. Rotations for officers every 2 to 3 years only ensures they haven't had enough time to learn anything beyond surface level platitudes. Knowledge and know how compound. We need to care more about winning than about providing experiences to fill out a bingo card. Additionally, congressional oversight can end with program element numbers, which heretical individuals are Congress protecting and holding in place against the will of their service. The only requirement is winning. The most important projects don't come from requirements. America's cultural strengths are fundamentally creative and improvisational. The requirements process ensures we play to our weakness. In a fight, no one cares about the requirements document. The only requirement is winning. And winning requires engaging in the messy, overlapping, seemingly wasteful, but actually efficient process of being better. Validating requirements leads to solving yesterday's problem. Without today's context, we have countless validated problems. Put the pebble in the right shoe. You can't separate the roles of creating requirements and delivering capabilities. All value accretes in the seams between teams. This is an unnecessary seam between requirement and solution. No company could compete commercially today under such a structure. Instead, we need more competition inside of government across programs with overlapping mandates. Rickover built and operated the subs. He constructed many of the safety standards he would then enforce, and he was often forced to send letters to himself to request things. Innovation is a consequence of productivity. If you don't produce, you cannot innovate. The LLM revolution was inspired by Google's attempt to improve Google Translate 3%, not by blue sky thinking, disconnect from reality. Put the pebble in the right shoe. You can't separate the roles of creating requirements and delivering capabilities. All value accretes in the seams between teams. This is an unnecessary seam between requirement and solution. No company could compete commercially today under such a structure. Instead, we need more competition inside of government across programs with overlapping mandates. Rickover built and operated the subs. He constructed many of the safety standards he would then enforce, and he was often forced to send letters to himself to request things. Innovation is a consequence of productivity. If you don't produce, you cannot innovate. The LLM revolution was inspired by Google's attempt to improve Google Translate 3%. These two roles allow Recover a large degree of control over the development of the nuclear-powered submarine and also the overseeing of development at the full scale. Commercial nuclear power plant dedicated to peacetime operation. In these roles, Recover was often forced to send letters to himself to request certain things. The father of nuclear Navy. What is this? The National Museum of Nuclear Science and History. Called the Nautilus in 1951, the ship was propelled by the submarine thermal reactor, pressurized water reactor. Conway's Law. You ship your org chart. Conway's Law reveals the connection between organizations' internal structure and the results it delivers to end users. The core idea is that the way members of an organization communicate and collaborate will shape the design and character of the systems and projects it produces. The problem with Goldwater Nichols is that it didn't go far enough. You can't have a joint department of services have monopolies on their Title 10 equipping responsibilities. We need more competition amongst the services, or you can say joint, until you are purple in the face. It won't make you join. Conway's Law leads to the profane conclusion that CGADC2 combined joint all-domain command and control, the department's vision for machine-to-machine connection across services and allies to close skill chains is impossible inside the military departments as currently conceived, with each developing its own set of capabilities for its services and must be delivered either by the office, the combatant commands, or by all the services competing and component adoption of their solution. This is how we build ICBMs with Army, Air Force, Navy all competing. No joint program offices, no monopoly, creative, fast, and ultimately cheaper results. Need budget to introduce a strategic competition. National security is economic prosperity. DGI should not exist. The drone was an American birthright, but bad policy from the FAA, which prohibited beyond line of sight operations and DoD's rigid ITAR restrictions, deprived America of untold economic prosperity. We got it right with the cheap GPS and semiconductors technologies, where the government was the initial customer but not the most important in the final calculus. We must counter the monopsonists' desire for control. Rand thought Lockheed would dominate integrated circuits because it had 50 PhDs and Intel only had 2. But Bob Noyce understood that military intelligence customers were just a pit stop on the way to Moore's Law. For another example, there has never been a dominant naval power that was not also dominant commercial shipping power. China understands this. Do we? Make the primes business worthy. America should demand that its primes have commercial businesses to subsidize taxpayer R&D and to prove they are competitive. Many of the primes today do not have commercial businesses. When they do, we are reminded that they are not competitive. See Boeing and Starliner. In the 1980s, Raytheon tried to diversify by entering the commercial construction industry. Harvey Sapolsky notes, this proved to be an expensive mistake because defense is like no other business in its forgiveness of cost overruns and time slippage. Raytheon could not manage construction and environmental cleanup projects, even for government customers, the way it was used to managing defense projects. If GDIT is so good, why don't they serve the commercial IT market? Because they can compete. Having developed a business as far from the commercial market as the Galapagos Islands are from the mainland, Chinese primes only earn 30 to 40% of their revenue from PLA. The remainder is commercial. Those cheap products your neighbor is buying on Amazon are subsidizing lethality, which could be used against our men and women in uniform, much the same way that during Cold War, your purchase of an American car, camera, and seal subsidized America's lethality against her enemies. Risk capital, not taxpayer capital. Small business programs should not be welfare. DoD and its proxy forces must stop competing with industry. Productivity is more lethal than weapon stockpiles. We obsess about stockpiles, but stockpiles are irrelevant. Ammunition deliveries to Ukraine were Cold War era kits sitting on shelves collecting dust while decades of innovation occurred. The consumption of 10 years of production in 10 weeks of fighting in Ukraine demonstrated that the rate of production was the actual weapon all along. We must be able to produce everything at speed and scale. We must design requirements and incentives for manufacturability, and we must never stop producing. No more participation trophies for having a weapon sitting on the shelf. It only counts if we can make it. Pontiac didn't have a stockpile of anti-aircraft guns they sold to the government during World War II, but they became the leading manufacturer of 20mm Oerlikon and dramatically decreased production time per gun. Reference architectures can be created, they emerge. Rule of law works. Contractual agreements enable the government to get the protection it wants. Fear-mongering that companies will turn off their capabilities when war starts is a tired excuse to exclude commercial companies. Protect the legacy defense industrial base and justify violating FASA. The only companies that have ever tried to own the government's data are in fact the legacy platform providers whose R&D was financed by the government in the first place. Why does this concern not exist in the commercial market, but does in government? Because it isn't real. There are simple contractual mechanisms to ensure the government has continuity of operations and design flexibility. Let's remove the excuse for why Mass must be in Latin, with only the monopsonies priest delivering the sermon. Let the people speak to the mission. Martin Luther taught that the people could ascertain God's truth directly from the Bible. They didn't need priests to interpret his meaning. Today we are told companies building for defense cannot possibly understand the warfighter, and that even the warfighter can't understand what he really needs. That his needs must be intermediated through the acquisition's priestly class. Warriors fight with guns and git. Warfighters need to know how to code, not because they will build industrial strength platforms that industry is delivering. They won't, not without $10 billion and the nation's top computer scientists, but because software is the most important malleable weapon system. Software is a unique American strength, and our warriors must develop fluency to understand how to wield the software industrial base to maximize lethality. Knowing if your feature request will take 1 hour, 1 day, 1 week, or 1 year to implement is critical. Knowing how to bend the software to your will is how you bend the enemy to your will. Software and its malleability will define the clock speed of the ODA loop, the resurrection of the American industrial base. Thomas Jefferson, a letter to James Madison. I hold it that little rebellion now and then is a good thing, as necessary in the political world as storms in the physical. I hold it that a little rebellion now and then is a good thing, and as necessary in the political world as storms in the physical. I nailed these theses to the Pentagon metro entrance not because I hate the department and my nation, but because I love them profoundly. We are in a state of undeclared emergency. For more than 3 decades, we have accepted a stagnant defense industrial base born from a complacent monopsony with no great power competition. We have prayed at the altar of process for too long. Change is not possible because we all realize there is something worse than change: irrelevance and obsolescence. We have no time to waste in resurrecting the American industrial base we depended on in the depths of Cold War. It was the American industrial base that underwrote American victory and Pax Americana. It can once again, if we embrace it as our savior. Wow, that was a read. I did skip a lot of things, but we have to end this somewhere. But great write up. So many quotes. Loved it. Pure relative peace and stability that has prevailed in the Western world, particularly North America and Europe, since the end of World War II. Pax Romana and Pax Britannica. Stability and prosperity, contemporary debates, endurance and decline, particularly with the rise of other global powers like China and the shifts in US foreign policy. Okay, we're back to Eric's Corp, the deep research. Okay, let's see. Born in 1967 with a net worth exceeding $10 billion in 2025, diverse educational background including PhD in philosophy, and is known for his unconventional leadership style. He has made notable statements on technology, national security, and personal freedom, reflecting his complex views. The evidence leans towards his company being controversial due to government contracts, especially in defense and immigration. October 2, New York City, American billionaire businessman and the co-founder and CEO of Palantir. Raised in Philadelphia, graduated from Central High School, 85, earned a BA in philosophy from Haverford College, JD from Stanford, PhD in neoclassical social theory from Frankfurt. Before founding Palantir in 2003 with Peter Thiel and others, he managed money through the Cademan Group in London. Has led Palantir since its inception, guiding it to become a major player in the tech industry, particularly in government contracts with agencies like the CIA, FBI, and Department of Defense. His leadership style is described as eccentric, involving practices like Tai Chi and a reluctance to engage in traditional management tasks, focusing instead on vision and inspiration. Neoclassical social theory from Goethe University, Frankfurt. JD from Stanford University, 92. BA in philosophy from Haverford College. Notable quotes: I was too poor, and then I was too rich, highlighting his personal journey. I'm a dreamer. I'll start dreaming, and then I fall over. I started doing Tai Chi to prevent that. It's really helped with focusing on one thing at a time. If you had met me 15 years ago, 2/3 of the conversation, I would just be dreaming, showing his introspective nature. I'm not a great CEO in the sense of being a great manager. I'm a great CEO in the sense of being a great visionary and a great recruiter and a great inspirer, but I don't manage people well. I don't like to manage people. I don't like to be in meetings. I don't like to go to events. I don't like to give speeches. I don't like to do interviews. I don't like to be on the phone. I don't like to text. I don't like to email. I don't like to do any of that stuff. So I have to find a way to make myself useful in a way that's consistent with my personality. Okay, he pretty much doesn't do anything. I'm not a great CEO in the sense of being a great manager. I'm a great CEO in the sense of being a great visionary and a great recruiter and a great inspirer. A great visionary and a great recruiter and a great inspirer. But I don't manage people well. I don't like to manage people. I don't like to be in meetings. I don't like to go to events. I don't like to give speeches. I don't like to do interviews. I don't like to be on the phone. I don't like to text. I don't like to email. I don't like to do any of that stuff. So I have to find a way to make myself useful in a way that's consistent with my personality. We have to find places that we protect away from government so that we can all be the unique and interesting and in my case somewhat deviant people we would like to be, emphasizing his belief in privacy and personal freedom. The death and pain that is brought to our enemies is mostly not exclusively brought by Palantir. Controversial statement reflecting his pride in the company's military role. Physical fitness regimen, including cross-country skiing for over 5 hours a week, achieving 7% body fat at age 55, which contrasts with his intellectual and philosophical pursuits. A Jewish Robert Karp, a Jewish clinical pediatrician, and Leah James Karp, African American artist. Raised in Philadelphia, he graduated from Central High School in '85 and faced challenges with dyslexia from an early age. B. in philosophy, JD from Stanford, neoclassical social theory, initially advised by before switching advisors due to disagreement on the dissertation topic. Aggression in der okay, that's German. Career and leadership at Palantir. Founded the Cademan Group, a London-based money management firm investing for high net worth clients. Palantir, named after the Seeing Stones from Lord of the Rings, initially focused on intelligence and defense, launching Palantir Gotham in 2008 for government use and Palantir Foundry in 2017 for commercial clients. The company went public via direct listing on the NYSE, with Corp leading it to a market cap exceeding $60 billion by mid-24, achieving profitability 22 and joining the S&P 500. Unconventional even by Silicon Valley standards, he practices Tai Chi, keeps Tai Chi swords at his desk, and is known for his reluctance to engage in traditional management tasks, preferring to focus on vision and inspiration. He has a net worth exceeding $10 billion in 25, ranking him among the top 300 on the Forbes Real-Time Billionaires list and Bloomberg Billionaire Index, and was named the Economist CEO of the year 24. His compensation hit 1.1 in 2020, the highest paid CEO that year. Wow, 1.1 B. Okay. Personal interest and lifestyle. Lifelong bachelor. Residing in Grafton County, New Hampshire, and owns 10 houses worldwide, including in Alaska, Vermont, Norway, and New Hampshire. He's a wellness fanatic, engaging in cross-country skiing for over 5 hours a week, achieving 7% body fat at age 55, and is skilled with handgun, setting targets from 264 yards with Bull Armory SAS-2 Bull Steros 9mm. He never learned to drive, stating, "I was too poor and then I was too rich," and avoids activities like biking and downhill skiing, citing his dreamy nature. Political views and controversies. Socialist and progressive, voting for Hillary Clinton and supporting Kamala Harris in 24 election, contrasting with Peter Thiel's support for Donald Trump. He criticizes woke culture, supports the US military, favors a big but rigorous immigration policy, and is pro-Western, supporting Israel. He condemned 24 pro-Palestine protests, suggesting protesters be sent to okay. Personal journey and identity. I was too poor and then I was too rich. From a 24 New York Times interview. Alex Money has money and power. So what does he want? So what does he want? Okay. Yeah, this was the interview I was referring to, and that's a great title. What does he want? I'm a dreamer. I'll start dreaming that I'll fall over. I started doing Tai Chi to prevent that. If you had met me 15 years ago, two-thirds of the conversation I would just be dreaming. Leadership style. We got that. Privacy and freedom. We have to find places that we protect away from government so that we can all be the unique and interesting and, in my case, somewhat deviant people we would like to be. Brainy Court. Military role and controversy. The death and pain that is brought to our enemies. Oh no. Media appearances. Okay. Oh yeah, Technology Republic. Okay. Hard power soft belief in the future of the West. And last thing we're gonna do is we want to check out their Twitter page. You want to check out their Twitter page, and we wanna see some Peter Thiel quotes. That would be cool. Hard Power, Soft Belief in the Future of the West, co-authored by Alex Karp, CEO of Palantir, and Nicholas Zamiska, Head of Corporate Affairs. Crown currency. Quickly risen to prominence, becoming an instant #1 New York Times and Sunday Times bestseller. Provocative critique of the Silicon Valley and its call for a renewed synergy between technology and national security. Critique of Silicon Valley's complacency and lack of ambition. Core argument. Silicon Valley has lost its way, shifting from a hub of world-changing innovation to a culture obsessed with oh wow. Shifting from a hub of world-changing innovations to a culture obsessed with trivial pursuits like photo-sharing apps and marketing algorithms. They argue this shallow engagement with technology's potentials reflects a broader Western complacency. Historically, tech pioneers collaborated with the government on transformative projects DARPA during the Cold War, securing the West's geopolitical dominance. Today, however, the market rewards light hedonism over ambition. The market rewards light hedonism over ambition, leaving the US vulnerable in an era of mounting global threats, particularly the AI arms race. This abandonment of ambition threatens not just technological leadership but the freedoms the West takes for granted. Call for a tech government alliance. Karp and Zamiska advocate for a World War II era style partnership between the software industry and the state, arguing that the union, not separation of these forces, is essential for the US and its allies to maintain dominance in the 21st century. They point to Palantir's own success, aiding the US Army's rapid equipping force with data systems to counter roadside bombs, as proof that tech can solve critical national security challenges when aligned with government needs. The government must adopt Silicon Valley's engineering mindset, while tech must refocus on urgent societal challenges like AI-driven defense rather than consumer frivolities. Rejection of intellectual fragility and defense of free speech. Intellectual fragility, avoiding ideological confrontation, demands innovation resilience. They contend that a willingness to risk disapproval and uphold free speech is directly tied to technological and economic outperformance. They critique the West's descent into tolerance of everything, which they see as a belief in nothing. Contrasting this with historical examples of bold contrarian thinking that drove progress, the Manhattan Project. Leaders in tech, academia, and government must reject timidness, articulate strong beliefs, and foster debate to preserve Western vitality. The centrality of software in geopolitical power. The book posits that the West's superiority hinges on its software industry, not just its ideals. In the software century, AI and data analytics are the new atomic bombs, and the US must lead this race to secure its future. Palantir's role in national security. supporting Ukraine against Russia illustrates how software can tip geopolitical scale. The authors warn that adversaries like China are not distracted by consumer apps but are building tech for power. Silicon Valley must pivot from sating late capitalism's hordes to building tools for hard power or risk ceding global leadership. A philosophical and cultural wake up call. The book is sweeping cultural critique likened to Alan Bloom's The Closing of the American Mind. It argues that the West's moral relativism, preference, falsification, hiding true beliefs, and loss of national purpose have eroded its collective identity. We in philosophy, history, and anthropology, and anthrop, anthropology, referencing Robert Oppenheimer's era versus today's directionless tech culture to mourn the hauling out of the Western ambition. The West must rediscover a patriotic belief in its virtues and purpose, with tech playing a starring role in its renewal. Palantir's mission is a model. The book lifts the weight of Palantir's broader political project, positioning it as a counterpoint to Silicon Valley's drift. Patriots' response to a world where tech must defend democracy, not just profit from it, where defense agencies and its rejection of Silicon Valley's anti-establishment ethos showcase a model of tech with conviction. Other tech firms should follow Palantir's lead, embracing a mission-driven ethos over neutrality or pacifism. Reviewers call it cultural critique unmatched since '87, while Eric Schmidt deems it essential reading in the age of AI. Jamie Dimon and General James Mattis laud its patriotism and urgency. Self-serving, talking their book, given Palantir's defense contracts or overly provocative novel insights beyond Karp's existing essays, are Oppenheimer moment. Making it a rallying cry for an America First tech ethos. Beautiful. Okay, that's the stream. Oh no, that's not the stream. Wait, Peter Thiel quotes. Peter Thiel quotes. We wanted flying cars, instead we got 140 characters. The most contrarian thing of all is to not oppose the crowd, but to think for yourself. In a world of scarce resources, globalization without new technology is unsustainable. Competition is for losers. If you're copying these guys, you're not learning from them. Monopolies drive progress because the promise of years or even decades of monopoly profits provide a powerful incentive to innovate. So he supports monopolies but not monopsonies. I would rather be seen as evil than incompetent. Criticism for being evil implies capability, whereas incompetence is indefensible. Artificial intelligence is communist in the sense that it consolidates control over information and decision making. Artificial intelligence is communist in the sense that it consolidates control over information and decision making. The intellectual framework of the West is broken. It's been broken for a while. I no longer believe that freedom and democracy are compatible. Freedom and democracy are compatible. Wow. The great task of our time is to build new things, not to tear down the old. Focus on innovation and creation over political infighting, aligning with his optimistic yet pragmatic worldview. Political correctness is the enemy of truth. Political correctness is the enemy of truth. On education and conventional wisdom, higher education is a bubble in a classical sense. Never invest in a tech CEO that wears a suit. Traditional business norms suggesting that overly formal leaders may lack the unconventional mindset needed for tech innovation. Most people think the future will just happen. I think we have to make it happen. Rejects passive optimism, advocating for active agency in shaping technological and societal progress. There are many more secrets left to uncover in the world that people think. Humanity has only scratched the surface of possible discoveries, encouraging bold exploration over incrementalism. I would rather lose money than lose time, reflecting his prioritization of impact and legacy were mere wealth accumulation, consistent with his investments in ambitious long term projects like Palantir and anti aging research. Death is a problem that can be solved. Mm. Longevity research, funding the Methuselah Foundation. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. Underscores his radical optimism about technology's potential to overcome human limitations. Contrarianism. Thiel's quotes about often challenge conventional wisdom, whether it's the value of competition, the inevitability of progress, or the sanctity of democracy. This stems from his Straussian intellectual roots and chess player mindset, always looking for the non obvious move. Optimism with urgency. Belief in human potential with frustration at its underutilization, evident in his critique of both tech and society. Political evolution. Early libertarianism gave way to a more nationalist bent by the 2010s, seen in his support and Palantir's defense focus, though he remains skeptical of centralized power. Okay, Palantir is here. Their font is pretty interesting. Use an update 2003, Palantir.com, foundational software of tomorrow delivered today. Seeing stone, seeing stone. Okay. News and updates from Palantir. We are deeply grateful to be admitted to the S&P 500 only in America. Perfect. I cannot talk anymore. More data, more robots, more automation, power up Palantir, catch Rubin and AIP. Tick, tick, tick. This is AIPCon. Proud to be deepening its partnership with Voyager Tech to develop AI-powered solutions for enhanced space domain awareness, enabling the proactive mitigation of potential collisions and threats. Voyager. Oh shit! Kraft Heinz Company and Ford Motor in S&P 100 respectively. All companies removed from S&P 100 will remain in S&P 500. DoorDash, TKO, Williams Sonoma, and Expand Energy to set to join S&P 500. Others to join S&P 100 mid cap, small cap. Wow. Wow. Okay. Dow, Kraft Heinz Company, and Ford Motor. Wow. Ford is no more S&P 100. Okay. Wow. Very interesting. Very interesting. Palantir to SPX. What is this?
Primarily because it's powerful as fuck. And luckily for the world, we're very long America, and we're doing.
We're very long American. We're doing it here.
That all cultures are equal. If you were to give this book to like I don't believe that all cultures are equal. If you were to give this book to like the philosophy department, political theory, or literature department of any elite school in this country, they will burn it. They'll burn it for a lot of reasons, but the primary reason they will burn it is I am not saying all cultures are equal. In fact, I'm saying this nation is incredibly special, and we should not view it as equal. We should view it as superior.
University of Boston. Wow. It's really cool. Like the head of Palantir is basically like a philosopher, and he's talking philosophy. He is not talking selling defense tech. Really cool. Warp Speed. Warp Speed is the manufacturing operation system to reindustrialize America.
I'm Jay August from Architect Technology. We have much more time about Warp. We want to know more about it. I want to see some demos of it. So today I've got Meredith, who's driving on Warp. You're branching an entire business, but I'm just setting the rule.
The assemblies it goes into. And next station being usually more expensive. But from a Mac's perspective, it might be human decision makers as the
In one place, like, that's very, very difficult to do it where I can rerun MRT.
just an existing systems.
But a lot of times, if you're lucky, there are people working MRT like I want. And so this is really cool to see you kind of put and show Warp Speed is really important.
Forward deployed engineer. Are you working? Yes. What is the role of forward deployed engineer at Palantir? Recherche en cours. Unique customer-facing position that blends software engineering problem-solving, direct collaboration with clients to implement Palantir's data analytics platform effectively. Hybrid between a software engineering solutions architect and a startup CTO, tasked with bridging the gap between Palantir's technology and the real-world challenges of customers. Customer collaboration, design implementation, technical problem-solving, impact delivery. Delivers measurable outcomes, whether that's saving lives, improving efficiency, or uncovering insights. They are not just building software, they're embedding into the real-world operations. Feedback loop to product teams. Gain insights into customer experiences and challenges, which they relay back to Palantir's product development teams to improve platforms like Foundry or AIP. Wait, I think we didn't look into the startup CTO analogy. Skills and traits: technical proficiency, adaptability, communication, autonomy, deployment, high stakes, team dynamics, defense, humanitarian, commercial, growth, reputation. FDs rate Palantir highly, praising the impactful work and autonomy, though some note intense workloads or limited core product development opportunities. Okay, let's go back to Palantir. Their website looks pretty weird, but okay. A software powers real-time AI-driven decisions on critical government and commercial enterprise in the West, from the factory floors to the front lines. AIP, Gotham, Foundry, Apollo. There's so much left to build. Palantirians deliver mission-critical outcomes for the best, most important institutions. They're pretty much doing everything that comes with big data. Panasonic North America, United Airlines, Applied AI, Lowe's. What a partner say about us. Fujitsu, wow, request a demo. Start building. Whoa. Impact studies. Airbus, Cleveland Clinic, Concordance, Dozen, Fujitsu, Jacobs, NHS, Swiss, Tampa, German, World Food Program. Capabilities, everything. Okay, offerings, anyone, anti-money laundering, automotive mobility, data protection, defense ecosystem, energy, federal health, FedStart, financial services, Palantir for builders, insurance, intelligence, mission manager, Palantir, hyper auto, rail, readiness, secure collaboration, semiconductor, supply chain, telecommunications, utilities. Interesting. Gotham. You are now mentoring. Okay. Your software is the weapon system, operating system for global decision making. Decision dominance from space to mud. Operating system from global decision making. Orchestrate combat power. Operating system for global decision making. Okay. AI driven combat superiority. Are you ready? Join a collaborating transforming technologies and help accelerate future of software. Powering the kill chain. Targeting offerings support soldiers with an AI-powered kill chain seamlessly and responsibly integrating target identification and target effector pairing. Enhance situational awareness and effectiveness as Gotham streamlines critical decision making in the modern battle space. Task sensors and effectors. Autonomous tasking of sensors from drones to satellites based on AI driven rules or manual inputs from human in the loop control. Gotham empowers you to make informed decisions, maximizing the effectiveness of your assets in even the most dynamic operational environments. Op Center anywhere. Transforming any bunker or outpost into an instant command center with mixed reality capabilities, immerse yourself in a dynamic environment that bridges the gap between physical and digital worlds. Came up with groundbreaking technologies that help us make better decisions in combat zones. You are giving us advantages right now that we need. Real people, real results. Open and interoperable. Let's create more together. Ontology. Semantic, kinetic, dynamic. Apollo. Deploy software beyond limits. We're solving a real hard problem that I'm convinced is an existential threat to me as an individual and my company. Alright, really cool. That's the stream. Thank you.